Yes. How is that? Let there be sound. Yes. Thank you, God. A little bit differently this morning. I want to welcome you as we gather in this wonderful opportunity to celebrate life, to celebrate the journey we are on. I want to welcome Pete and Paul Beckett. They are here with their music to share with you, to remind you of the truth of who you are.
Love, preaches simple songs have been written. All the simple words are now gone. All the love that I will be giving was given long before we were born. You lie awake waiting for answers, something that will open your eyes. But only when you open your heart will you find the only answers to life. And now it's up to you. 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 There's nothing more I can do. Something that will open your eyes. But only when you open your heart will you find the only answers to life. Now it's up to you. 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 There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more I can do.
Whoa. Thank you, thank you. Open your heart. That is the invitation of the universe. We do welcome you this morning to Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, where we gather with an intention to know that presence and power that undergirths it all. You know, the idea of opening your heart and that love is the only energy is actually, I believe, a scientific understanding, as we recognize that in quantum physics, they show us that we live and move and have our being within a quantum field of energy. And that energy, that 0-point energy field, is creative at its core. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, that energy is love. And we will experience the expansion we desire when we experience the love that is present and that it embodies all and that guides us all. So as we come together with an understanding of one presence and one power, we can call it God, we can call it Buddha, we can call it Baha'u'llah, we can call it Jesus, we can call it Lord, but what we recognize, we can call it love. But there is an energy that holds us right now. And the invitation the universe offers us is to open our hearts. We're going to begin this service in prayer in just a moment. And if by any chance this week, during a little bit of heat or a little bit of, what do they call it, disorganization, maybe you have closed your heart, I just invite you to open it. So remember that who you are is so much more than anything that's going on around you. That the intelligence of the universe flows through you. The love of the universe flows through you in this moment. So let's begin this service in prayer. We take that breath, opening infinite spirit. Mother, Father, God, we open to a deeper understanding of the vibrant life that moves through each of us, of the love that is our nature, and of the opening that we create every time we say yes to that movement of spirit, to that movement of life, to the movement of love, and we share it with our world. For this opportunity to gather and to know that truth for every being everywhere. Those that may be hurting, those that live in difficult spaces and times with war, with so much. We open our heart and our mind surrounding them, knowing that all of us are one, and that as we gather together as humanity and say yes to the healing, to the reconciliation, to the coming together, we know that all that we need is present and available. We hold that for every being everywhere. For this opportunity, we are so grateful, and so it is. Amen. So we welcome you this morning. Beth is still on vacation. She'll be back next Saturday night late. So she said, tell them I'll be there to do the announcements. So don't worry, you won't get them from me anymore. You'll get them from Beth. And I think she's a lot more funny So, just in case you want to know, she comes in with that. We do have some. We have our next Sunday is our garden party fundraiser. If you have not gotten to see the gardens, they are magnificent. Next Sunday, August 7th. Next Sunday is our garden party fundraiser. And with that garden party, we'll get to it. It's the garden party fundraiser. It's an ice cream social. And that ice cream social will be out in the garden after the service. It is wonderful. It's the only fundraiser we do this each year for our garden. And the garden team does a magnificent job of caring for that space. So I just invite you to come and enjoy some of the ice cream and some of the different pieces and be a part of that. We have a garden party fundraiser. So there's two different things on an evening. Friday night, August 26th. So you're right, Marilee. And Marilee and Pete and Paul and the rest of the band called the Staff Infection Band will be here playing with us. Yes, they were the staff and are the staff. Right now they're not completely up there. I got to go Friday night to the Kiwanis camp for disabled youth and adults. And let me tell you, I spent about 3 hours in tears. It was the most beautiful thing. I got to see these guys and Marilee and the rest and their band playing, and kids believing. They'd come, some of them 1 year, some of them 20 years, and they were no longer kids in that way. And just taking in, you're more than you think you are. Don't let anybody ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful. And it brought me to tears. They were in tears. It was an amazing experience. And so they will be our music in that garden party. Colleen's putting this together. It'll be Friday night, August 26th, 6 to 8:30. Tickets are available for purchase from the donate button on the website and the newsletter. So it's live music. It's a wonderful opportunity. And there will be wine, beverages, and snacks available. So Friday night, August 26th, we've got lots of things going on in the garden. Summertime in the giving is easy. Part of what we do as a community is we have wonderful outreach projects where we get to touch other lives. The Summer Outreach Project is collecting items through the month of August. Many of them are school supplies and different things like that. But it's also what do we need, what do people need to get through that. One of the places that we work with on an ongoing basis is the Transitional School, which is a school for youth experiencing houselessness. They have a home. We all have a home. We create that with our hearts and who we are, but they are experiencing houselessness, and some of the things they need, it's so important. So there's a list out there. You can pick it up, or you can donate money if you'd rather have the outreach team do the shopping for you. So those are the main things going on. I wanted to share with you for a moment just what's happening in my journey. Some of you know I've been here, 15 years. And in that time, I have accumulated a total of 9 months sabbatical. I still have 6 of them that have not been taken. And no, I'm not taking 6 months sabbatical. I thought about it, but I am taking I'm taking a month this year. So I will be gone from the middle of August through the middle of September. And what I'm excited about is for the first time we have ministers. We have more ministers in this area who are retired and who are visiting and other things happening that we have. Over 5 weeks, we have 4 different ministers. We have Sherry Dunn coming back that many of you really enjoyed her talk on Juneteenth. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And I'm asking for support because I don't believe I'm this ministry. I believe we as a community are the ones who come together to say, who are we in consciousness and how do we walk that together? So I wanted to share that with you. Also this fall, we already have at least 3 different classes coming up. We have Alan Watson will be teaching the spiritual interpretation of Jesus' teachings. He is our philosopher, and I don't know the dates, but I know it's on Wednesday nights. Marilee and I are going to be doing a class called Quantum Mind as we look at the science and our minds and how we move forward with that. And I will be doing a 3rd class on Tuesday nights. It will probably be radical forgiveness just because we're in interesting times, and all of us have opportunities to look at letting go of that which has bound us to experience the freedom that we so desire. I want to take a moment and welcome all of you who are here for the first time, whether you're here or you're in our virtual family, and we know that consciousness knows no bounds. So we never have to be in the room to be in that consciousness and that idea. And so I believe as humanity, we're looking to enlarge our circles, and I know allowing us to be a virtual family is such an important piece. And so hopefully I know what I'm saying. All right, we want to welcome you. Our ushers have a guest packet for you, and they would love to give it to you if you would be willing to raise your hand. We will just share with you some of what we have. And we may all, okay, we've got someone back there, wonderful. If you haven't been here in a while, please take a packet also. They're out on the table as you leave. And if you haven't filled out a green card, they're on the packet. But if you're not getting our weekly e-newsletter, it does tell you what's happening when. And there's a lot of links on there for all the different pieces, which make it much easier. So you can fill out a green card and give us the information you'd like to there. And we will move from, there is a QR code if you are on, do we have we may not, I may have missed it, but there is a QR code if you are online, or you can go on to our website, and there is a place you can sign up there, and that is unityofportland.org. We'd invite you to join us after the service for coffee and connection. I believe it will be downstairs today, and it is a wonderful opportunity. It is, one of the things I'm learning from Otto Schwarmer and his theories of changing social fields, which is what we're doing. He said you have to participate in the system in order to understand what the system is. I think all of us were like, rats. You mean I can't just isolate and just know, my little world's here? No, we're learning to expand that knowing. All right, we are gonna now stand and sing. I forgot our blessing, but thank you, Leah. We are welcoming you. We're gonna stand to do our congregational song.
Welcome to my morning. Welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible. I've made it just this way to make myself some pictures and see what they might bring. I think I've done it perfectly. I wouldn't change a thing. Na na na, na 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 na, na na na, na 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 na. Welcome to my happiness. It makes me smile, and it pleases me to have you here for just a little while we open up some spaces and try to break the chains. And if the truth is told, they will never come again. Na na na, na 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 na, na na na, na 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 na. Welcome to my evening, the closing of the day. I could try a million times and never find a better way to tell you that I love you, and all the songs I play are to thank you for allowing me in the lovely day you've made. Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible. I've made it just this way to make myself some pictures and see what they might bring. I think I've done it perfectly. I wouldn't change a thing. Na na na, na 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 na, na na na, na 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 na, na na na. Na 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 na.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. And I would just invite you to look around this room and to say, welcome to my world, to these beautiful beings that you are around, to introduce yourself if you would like. Welcome to my world.
With all the masks.
I know.
I assume they're singing.
I know. Oh, welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. I think I've done it perfectly. I bet a lot of us haven't been telling ourselves that. And part of, welcome to my world. We're right where we need to be. We have all that we need to move forward. Now's our time of meditation, and we just get a little quieter, because what we know in meditation is that we have the ability to be silent and to listen, and truly to open to a larger understanding. Susie Ellen will be doing our meditation today. Pete and Paul will be playing music and just holding that space and beginning to open to the truth of all that we are and all that is within us. You want to go ahead? Yeah. So I just invite you to listen to the music.
Good morning, everyone. I invite you now to softly close your eyes or soften your gaze, and to move from the mind into the heart and expand that place of heart, of opening to the goodness, to the grace, to the love of spirit that is available right here, right now, in this room. It's in every one of us to feel and open to that love that is in our own heart. For that is where the infinite presence and power of spirit is. It is in our heart. It is grounded in our being. It is who we are. We are the precious, precious offspring of a creative mind that knows only good. And so this morning I would allow that place of goodness, of grace that is right in each and every one of us to come forward, to ground us, to open us to a greater love, to a greater awareness of the truth of who we are. There is one infinite mind, one presence, and one power that is right here, right now, available in and through each one of us. So as we move into a place of meditation, we open to that place which is us, which is right here, which is in the heart, which is available always. The heart always knows the answer to every question. So now as we take a few minutes to ground, to open to the eternal wisdom of truth that is each one of us gathered here this morning. So I just invite you now to quiet your mind, to let it drop into the heart, to feel your feet on the ground and know that you are grounded right here in this space. And let go and let spirit fill each one of us up in an incredible, sustainable, and empowering love. And so I now invite you with a quiet mind and an open heart to spend a few moments in the quiet, to just know and invite the presence of love that is right here available to each and every one of us. Allow your breath to take you deep, 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 deep into the holy, sacred grace that is who you are. And if your mind wanders, just return to this breath, breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out. Allow the grace to fill you in the quiet. Now returning to your breath, allowing your breath to deepen, to open, and quietly opening softly your eyes back into this room, into this sacred space that we have created this morning, to open our hearts and our minds to know that there is an infinite presence and power in each and every one of us that knows the answer to every question, that always grounds us in its love. So gently and quietly coming back into the room. Coming back, opening to the music, to the words, and to the love that is right here available, right here and right now. Blessed be.
There's a softer song that only softer silence hears. When you're so complete, you haven't time for counting years. Feel a softer sun, fire to warm your winter minds, shining through your clouds. Oh, you've got tomorrow's eyes. Love is all I have, the softer song I sing for you. Love is all I have, the warmer sun I am for you.
Oh, shucks. Oh, another one. Look at the list.
There you go, on the run, off again to follow the sun. You're trying so hard to fool everyone who loves you. But don't you know, can't you see that every step you take to be free brings you closer to home as you follow the stars above you? You don't have to go to the mountain to find it yourself. That magical fountain, the joy of living comes back when the giving is real. But your broken dreams that no one knows, afraid to scream and ruin the show. You're unable to lean on someone who knows how to love you. Yourself, that magical fountain, the joy of living comes back when the giving is real. The lamp is lit, the fire burns, all that you give comes back in return. For as long as you live, if you ever could learn that whenever you give, you say without words, I love you. But the lamp is lit and the fire burns. All that you give comes back in return. For as long as you live, if you ever could learn that whenever you give, you say without words, I love you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That is wonderful. I appreciate that. How wonderful. Wow. You know, what about that idea of freedom? How are we feeling these days? I always go back to Unity's basic, quote, book, and it was not written by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who were the founders of Unity. And let me go back and add a few more pieces. Unity, for those of you who don't know, is a tradition that actually did not start, nor does it consider itself a religion. We don't have dogma that you have to believe. Instead, we believe there are spiritual principles that we all learn to live by and that we all can move forward in our lives with. Same with Centers for Spiritual Living, and there's Divine Science and others that have looked at a body of ideas. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, after healing their own bodies using their mind, began to look further. They were in Kansas City, Missouri, and all they had was the Bible. And so they looked at the Bible and they said, what is the spiritual interpretation of these stories? And I have always heard, growing up in Unity, that Jesus was a way shower. He learned to live these principles in his own lives, and he went out in his own life, and he went out and he began sharing them, and they were all teaching lessons. And so these ideas, as we look at them, and we look at the wisdom of Buddha, who, you know, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. Buddha said there's a Buddha within you. They're talking about the inner immensity that we have within our own being. And that the things I do, you can do also. And it's about learning this and then having the tools. And so in Lessons in Truth, this book was written by a woman, Emily Cady. She did it in the early 90s. There were actually articles in the Unity magazine. And then when Charles Fillmore was told, okay, you got to have a basic book here. And he's like, why? What do we have? You know, they didn't ordain ministers. They didn't create a church. They figured people could go wherever they wanted to. And then they could gather these ideas through classes and through learning. And then finally people were like, we're not going back there. And so they began they began ordaining, I think in 1911. So it took them from 1888 to 1911. They finally said, okay. And they ordained an equal number of men and women, which was not done much in that time. But when Charles Fillmore looked at the idea of needing basics, he said, well, somebody's already done it. Look at these ideas. And so Emily Cady, who in the late 1800s became one of the first women homeopaths. She went through the homeopathic college in New York. She was considered an outcast. And she began teaching the spiritual principles that she was learning and studying, and they were unity principles. And she gathered many and studied with them and came to speak. And I love the idea that he was able to say, why do I have to be the one to write something? It's already there. Now, I want you to remember, women didn't get the right to vote till 1926. This was in Kansas City, Missouri, in the middle of the Bible Belt. He was often at risk simply for stating that this presence is within you and that you can mold and shape your world, that we co-create with God, which for some people in here now, that's a big idea of like, co-creator with God, what are you saying here? And yet, if we understand a God that's out in the sky, that's scary, and that's judging and all the things that have been told, what about a quantum field? What about the very energy of love? What about, this idea of one presence and one power that unity uses is an idea that it's everywhere present. And so if we put somebody up in the sky, we have a really old view. And we need to, our world will go by that. What Emily Cady said in her first chapter is every moment of every day we choose bondage or we choose liberty. We choose freedom. And the freedom, now she was at a time when she wanted women to have the right to vote. She felt like it was a non-subject, and she was gathering people around her. You can feel really bound by ideas. Anybody feel bound by society right now? By what's happening in our world? We have two people. Okay, anybody else feel bound by what's going on? So if we can look at it, what I find is, and what she said is, we have to understand the spiritual principles that we live in this universe. We have to understand where we are within these ideas. And then we get to choose in our heart what we do and how we operate throughout this lifetime. And to be able to say, I can choose bondage, and man, sometimes I do. Anybody choose bondage this week? Okay, nobody. Oh wait, Jamie did one. Okay, this idea, my air conditioner stopped working at least 3/4 the way. Every so often we got a little bit. Usually it was in the middle of the night. It would do something Friday. And so I had both Leah, who is 23, and Lauren, who's 20, there wanting me to fix it. And I was trying to explain to them that there wasn't anything I could do. And then some of the power went out. So I obviously need an electrician. And it was hilarious. But what's more fascinating is how I operate within that whole idea. Even the dog was looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I kept saying, there's nothing I can do. And he's a 100-pound lab that was not happy and wouldn't even come up. Usually he sleeps up in my room. Well, my room's upstairs. Let me tell you, he wasn't coming up there. He just looked at me and said, I don't think so, and slept downstairs next to the windows we did eventually open. That's life. Right now, we're in a time of great change. We're in a really important time in history. And change brings what Otto Schormer, I love this word, disruption. We are in a state of disruption. We have social fields that are falling apart. What we're experiencing right now in our social field, that means how we relate. In our ecological field, and by the way, he said what we're doing is going from a social field based on expansion. Always expanding. We need more stuff. We need more whatever. We build more roads. We build more things. We do more things. We have to get more and do more and be more, and that idea of expansion. And we're moving to one of healing and reconciliation. We're going from an ego-centric idea to an eco, which means we're all important. The earth is important. Where we're moving is important. And he said, in these three fields that we have, the first is ecological, the second is social, which is how we relate to others, and the third is the self. He calls it something different, but basically it's the amount of people that have depression, that have all these other issues going on. It's the mental health. And it's because we've had a tradition of saying you are less than whole from birth and not described and connected beings regardless of how they go through this life journey, whether they have a home that is building, has cement and other things around it, a house that has that, or they have within them all that they need right there, and what they're asking for is more support. Poverty is a part of that. All this is a part of that. But as we look at these three social fields, what we've realized is we can't go any further where we are. But what's a fascinating part of this, and what I realized through Emily Cady, is that every day I choose bondage or liberty. Every day you choose bondage or freedom. Am I going to be bound by the change? What I'm finding, and they're also saying that we individually have to go from an I to a we. We have to look at the world around us. And by the way, some of the things that I am getting further into Otto Schormer's work, he founded the Presencing Institute. He works through MIT. His book is called Theory U, and I would get the short one because the other one's 500 pages, and I have not gotten very far through it. But I'm fascinating. He said, in order to change a social field, you have to participate in it. We have to participate. You have to have an open mind, which means you have the courage to step out into the unknown, which is what we're being asked to do. Anybody not find unknown in their world right now? And leadership. The idea of leadership originally was that each of us has our leadership. And that's one of the things I want to say. Every one of us is a leader. And the ancient root word from which that word was made means to step out into the unknown. That's what we're doing. We're leading away. We're being asked to step out into a world that's asking to be born. It's already there. That's one of the things that he has learned. And this is a scientific researcher who uses no spiritual words whatsoever. But what they have found, and he said the result of all of my life's work, and I know it's at least 40 years now, is that the other thing that social fields rely on is the consciousness of the individuals within that field. Now you might say, oh, I'm fine, they're wrong. That isn't part of change. What we know with spiral dynamics and some of the ideas with that theory is that humanity's consciousness has never stopped evolving. It can look like it, but it has continued to evolve. And if you haven't looked up spiral dynamics and read the piece with John Mackey as he was teaching I think that's his name, he was the head of Whole Foods. He taught every one of his managers about probably 10 years ago the theory of spiral dynamics and the continuing rise in consciousness, because you can tell where someone is and where a society is by where they are along this spiral. And it's a spiral. And it's continuing to go. So if we know that as a base, and we recognize that, and I believe it's an important piece, there is one presence and one power. There is a quantum field that we breathe in the wisdom as we are open to it, as we acknowledge it. And yet, Maya Angelou says, hope and fear cannot occupy the same place at the same time. And in order to move through, and Otto Schormer says we're moving like this, from one social field, and he has them as mountains, and usually we're on the top of a mountain and then we're going to another one. And we feel like we're jumping off a cliff. He said, actually, we're going to go down. And it's a U shape. And he said, we have to let go of the way we have seen things before, of how we think it should be. Anybody in here have a few shoulds? It should be this way. We let go of some of the pieces. Let them go. And he said, and we start by opening our mind and having the courage to step out in the unknown. And I believe the consciousness with which we step out into the unknown in our lives supports us on that journey. Emily Cady lived in a time when it was decades before women got the right to vote. She was talking about it and believing in it decades before that was true. She was teaching everyone, women and anybody who wanted to listen to her, men, you have the infinite presence and power of the universe within you. You have that intelligence. And I believe our message to the world right now is the same one to every being everywhere. If we've had categories, and these are the old social fields of this person's allowed, this person isn't. This person has value, this person does not. I have 2 cars, you have 4 cars, we have this, we have that. This is who I am, and we've been raised with these ideas. And the truth is, the world, you can feel it. Anybody want to get rid of all the stuff in their house? That is, obviously, I'm living in that. We're already changing the consciousness of I need more. Look at National Geographic a few years ago, had everybody take this stuff outside their houses and take pictures. They took aerial views. Let me tell you, they looked very different by country. And the United States, even then, had so much stuff. It would just, and now I wouldn't even want to think about it. But the marketing and the other things have led us there. So begin, if we are willing to let go of the way we've seen things, that means we have to be willing to stand in the unknown, and we get to choose the quality of our journey through it. And let me tell you, sometimes it's easier than others. There are times when I'm just like, I can't do it. This isn't, and all the things come up. How do we handle it? My response was get a couple big glasses of water because I realized I needed it. And I just went in and laid down and I just started praying. I just started saying, Infinite Spirit, there's an intelligence in me that's large enough for what all of this is. There's enough that is present and available that I am. Just literally, this I am is the consciousness of the infinite that is everywhere present and everywhere available, and beginning to call forth what I know is true. And I would invite you to say, how do I do that in my world? Because somewhere we've believed that we didn't expand with enough grades or enough jobs or enough this or enough that, or we didn't have this or we didn't have that. And we've believed that we weren't whole and worthy and infinite and intelligent and had the ability to move through us. And it doesn't matter what score we got on this or how we make our living or any of that. What matters is how we show up and open ourselves. And so the idea of holding a space is so, so powerful. What space am I to hold? So the first one is courage. To be able to be willing to drop what we have seen in the past and open our minds. Because to move into and change a social field, you have to be open to the new ideas that are asking to be born. We make our thoughts and our days and our decisions either from the past and everything that's happened up until now. Anybody have any difficult times in their lives? Anybody been told, oh, you're not going to make it, you're not this or that? If we are making our decisions from the past alone, and actually if we're making our decisions from the past, we're going to believe the world's going to continue on as it was, and it's not. We already know that. We're already in that place. And so the courage to open our minds and start with opening our minds. I am open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth, to the infinite living spirit of truth, whatever word you want to call it. There is and what's fascinating about these quantum fields is they're holograms. They exist everywhere. They're not just, you are not an exception. This quantum field moves through you. It's a part of who you are. Your DNA has that in it. Every cell, all of the intelligence of the universe is located everywhere. And so we have the ability, he calls it presencing, to get quiet, to have an idea that something larger is happening here and I am a part of it. And then to say, what's my part? What's my part may just be getting to know my neighbors. It may be with the courage I have, just believing I can take a step. I can be kind to the lady at the grocery store, to the man at the grocery store, to the person I don't know. I can speak to someone who doesn't look like me, or that in the past my mind has said, ooh, I don't know. And but simply open mind. That means we have to stop our judgment. We have to go from competition to comparison. And how many times have we said, at least I have this, I got this, I can stand on this. Anybody have a lot of the at this is falling away? That's because there's something new being born. The second thing we do is we open our heart, and that means empathy. It's compassion. So it's courage to step out into the unknown. It's compassion. That means feeling the experience of another with caring, looking through the eyes of another. We can say they're wrong, they got the wrong views. But I wonder where those views came from. I don't have the answers. I have some pretty clear views of what I believe needs to happen both politically and socially in this country, because I believe very strongly in the inclusion of all beings and the ability for a society to support its members. And I get to feel and say, I wonder what their journey is. And that is actually an experience that supports us in opening our hearts and in allowing something larger to come through. And it allows us to experience freedom of breath, because we know we're part of a social field. I participate in this field, and I do it by touching the world around us. And it's fascinating that we're being asked to participate in a field when we've been supposedly quarantined and in our houses for 2 or 3 years and haven't experienced that opportunity. We have to rebuild that and be a part of a larger thing. The third thing is, and he said, we need an open mind, an open heart, and an open will. And that is a fascinating one. This idea, we start out with courage, we go to compassion, and then we go to curiosity. We have to learn what's happening in the current social field. And he said, when we do, anybody had your eyes open? I know I'm saying anybody a lot today. Somehow I think I'm gathering people along the journey, but I want to know, how many of us have had our eyes opened in the last 3 years of what he said, all the misinformation, all the things that weren't there. We're not there to put it down. We're there to learn that so that we can move over here. And what's fascinating, what we know by spiral dynamics and by all of new thought, and this idea that the thoughts we hold will shape and mold our experience, is that saying, you're rotten, you're worthless, to a being, an idea, it doesn't take us where we want to go. What I know about the growth in consciousness is that it is assimilate, understand, and so it's include and rise. Include and rise. And so somewhere in there, I don't know what those answers are. But what I know is every one of us is a part of the divine plan of the universe. I believe that this infinite intelligence, I was raised being told I was an idea in the mind of God. And it was my opportunity and my responsibility to expand that idea into life. Now, I realize most people didn't grow up as that, nor did I exactly know what it meant, but I heard that, and I took it in. So we are all ideas in the infinite. We are drops in this ocean of energy, of love, of life, of experience. We are held by that. We have an inner immensity that will take us anywhere we are to go, if we have the courage to step into the unknown with a belief that there is a larger process happening, that we are an important part of it, and that we are there to expand the love that we are. The humility of understanding that I am a part of a field of evolution, of a field of expansion, humanity is. Then we know truly that we are all just walking each other home. Thank you. Okay. All right. And we have an opportunity to receive our tithes and our love offerings, to know, as one of the pieces that gets to be totally recreated is our economy. To move into one that supports all beings in who knows what ways, but I'm just holding a space for humanity that all of us know. And so as we are a part of that giving and receiving, some of that I know is shifting the consciousness from I don't have enough, there's never enough, to there's plenty. There's an abundance. Look around you. There's an abundance of green right now, and there's an abundance of heat. But appreciate the abundance in your life. I would invite you to allow your mind to look at the abundance and to know we're a part. There's an abundance of human beings and hearts that desire good. They're everywhere. Walk in that abundance. Know that abundance. If you'd like to give, most of it now is done through automatic. We will, in just a moment, we will collect any tithes, any checks. We're so happy. There is also, oh good, it's on this one up here. So if you're at home, it's on that screen, and it shows you different ways you can give. And it is the opportunity you can give through, you can go on our website. There's a donate button there. There's also, and there are papers in the backs of your seat. If you would like to give electronically, you can do so with your cell phone. You can do that. What is the other way? You can mail in money. So I have gotten through the list. But what's most important, I believe, is the way that we hold our gifts in our consciousness, not necessarily in our hand. I have this. It is a plastic card that represents the money that is taken out of my account every month. But what it does is it says, first of all, there's one source. We're not getting stuff and money from some job or something. There is one source. It's the quantum field. And we are all a part of it. All of humanity is. And so what I know is that I get to say, this source, God is my source. I use God. It's easy for me because I never knew a guy up in the sky. If that's not the word for you, infinite intelligence is my source. The quantum energy of love is my source. And breathe it in. And then as we hold this gift, we have an affirmation here. And it's divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And it's the realization that we're a part of something larger, and the ancient, infinite part of ourselves, that soul that continues on long after this body says, we've done all we came to do right now, we'll move on gracefully. That's the part that continues on. So let's say this together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Leah, will you check that slide? I think it has a wrong word on it. And we are going to, receive our tithes and our love offerings, and you all are going to play for us again. Thank you.
There's a reason for the sunlight in the sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when the love light shines all around us. So let that feeling wrap you deep inside and set you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. Then you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. Then you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. And there's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when the love light shines all around us. So let that wonder take you deep in space and lay you under its loving embrace, and feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. Then you'll know what I mean. It's a season. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. Then you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. Let your love flow like a mountain stream, let your love grow with the smallest of trees, and let your love show. Then you'll know what I mean. It's the reason. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and then let your love shine. You'll know what I mean. That's the reason.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. You know, I really didn't introduce you all fully, but they have shared their music as professional musicians for a few decades and then went on to many other things. And part of that was holding a space for youth with disabilities, which of course we know that every one of us is multi-abled and have resources and light within us that's so important to share. But I just want to thank you both for the light and the love and the intention you have held for humanity for decades as you drive up every Friday night and play at the camp and hold the things and just all that you both have done. And it's wonderful and a joy to have you here. Thank you for sharing your music. That's all right. And we have youth that will be going to a camp. I believe it's our YOUers in the next week. We have several youth doing that. Again, they go to a place where they're told they are unconditionally loved and accepted and included. And what an important part that is. So we invite you to go downstairs for our, that is correct, isn't it? I don't know who's doing it, but Beth will be back next Sunday and you'll have a lot more information than I have. I can tell you that. If you are interested in being a part of the ice cream social, Bill is in the back. He is the head of our garden team. And if you just want to say thank you, Bill, will you stand for just a moment? This being has held an intention and a vision for this space that has blessed us for years. And if you want to help with the ice cream social next Sunday, I invite you to do that. I'm looking forward to it. And we are going to stand now and set an intention. We hold that space. We have chaplains who are here. As we stand, we have chaplains who are here. Thank you. I knew you were trying to tell me something, Annette. We have chaplains who are here to pray with you. It's so important to remember that wherever two or more are gathered, that's consciousness. That is talking about consciousness. There in the midst of you, I am. That is the intelligence of the universe rising through us. Gather with people, pray with people. They will hold you in prayer right here at the end of the service, and just hold that knowing. All right, we're going to stand and sing Let There Be Peace on Earth and Let It Begin With Me. And I realize you probably haven't sung it with us but we will, this will be fun. Thank you. Oh yes, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Throughout all of my known history, we have been singing this at every Unity church I've ever gone to at the end of the service as an intention. An intention we hold, every one of us. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me, because we know that each of us is a part of that quantum field that shares that love. We're going to close with our unity prayer, just remembering again, there is an intelligence that fills us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Have a love-filled week. Blessings, friend.